Taste test. It's really good. Choking. Okay, let's go. Not the most flattering angle, but alrighty. So, first YouTube video. I don't even know if this video is gonna make it to YouTube, but this is my first time filming, and I feel awkward. But essentially, I've been wanting to start a YouTube channel about a couple of different things. I want to start a YouTube channel about just my interior design business and how I do things as an interior designer and like my day-to-day stuff for an interior designer. All interior design content. I feel like there's a couple of interior design YouTube channels on here, but there's not a lot. So I thought it'd be fun. I love Karen Bond. She's like the queen of interior design YouTube. The queen. The pioneer, if you will. And then there's also Mimi Estelle. She doesn't do too many interior design videos anymore, but I like the ones that she has. So I watched those too. So I wanted to do my own little take on interior design and my day-to-day and things like that. I currently am driving to a client's house. I'm just gonna bring you along my day. Hopefully it's not too dizzying because I'm driving, but I'm gonna bring you along to my day and just show you what I'm doing. So it's gonna be like a little day in the life of an interior designer. I don't know how much footage I'm actually gonna get because it's kind of hard to film when you're with clients. So right now I'm heading back to a repeat client. I did a addition, like kind of guest house at their cabin, and they want some stuff done at their main cabin now. So it's just a couple of like odds and ends things that they want done. They want to add a runner rug to their staircase because they said that their kids and their puppy is really loud at night or during the day, whenever. So we're gonna look at rug options. We're gonna look at fabric options because they need new slip covers. Ooh, it's kind of bouncy. They need new slip covers for their sofa. So we're gonna look at that, and then they want patio furniture. So we're gonna measure out their patio. Just a couple of things, really. So that's meeting number one, and then after that, I have to do some drafting for my own personal build, which I'm going to be documenting on this channel. My own personal build. So my husband and I just purchased land. We purchased 5 acres and we're building a house, and I designed the house. So I'm going to be designing everything, and then my husband will be building it. My husband works in the building industry. He is doing industrial construction right now, but he's going to be going back to residential construction. So he knows his way around a house. So it's just very convenient. And he did plumbing for a million years. He does concrete work. There's really nothing that he doesn't do. So he's gonna be building the entire house. I'm gonna be designing it, as you know, that's my contribution. I will not be swinging any hammers or anything like that. So I gotta work on those plans today. And then I also need to work on a furniture project. I got a client for a furniture project, so I'm selecting all the furniture, and so I need to work on the living room today because I have that meeting coming up in like a couple of weeks. And then I also want to sit down and kind of chat about like gather my thoughts a little bit more on like what I want for the channel and the types of things that I want to share and things like that. So I'm gonna stop filming while driving and pick up the camera later on sometime. I just finished with my client. It was a repeat client. I think I mentioned that before. If you look on the Alder and Stone website, it's under Gozzer Glam. And it was a project up in the Gozzer community. If you're like familiar with Idaho, the Gozzer community is like a really, really high-end community. A lot of like celebrities, like I heard Justin Bieber's up at the Gozzer community. It's just a neighborhood with really affluent homeowners. So there's like mega mansions up there, and it's just a beautiful area. It is so beautiful. The drive is so beautiful. And it's repeat client. I did their guest house. I designed their guest house, and they just want some like odds and ends things, like a stair runner, and they need new patio furniture. I mentioned all this before. They did not land on any of the rug samples. We need something more creamy. And then they did pick a slip cover fabric, so that was good. And then I measured a bunch of stuff. Got my measurements and all that jazz. So the meeting took about an hour, and then I have an hour drive back to my office. And then we'll kind of catch up once I get back to my office. So I'm loving the light. Okay. So for you guys, this has probably been like 2 seconds, and for me, it's been hours. So I'm finally back at my office. This is my office. And it's about an hour drive back from the client's house. So came back, pumped. I have all my pumping supplies because I'm a mom. I have an 11-month-old, almost a 1-year-old, and so pumping. But I just wanted to come on and kind of talk about the why. The why of why I started my business, because this channel I'm envisioning is about my business, it's about motherhood, it's about building our house. Kind of all of the topics. I want it to be like behind the scenes of my business, behind the scenes of being a business owner and a mom and a wife and all of the other things, and then also following us building our house. And so the why. Why did I start my interior design firm? So my interior design firm is Alder and Stone. You probably noticed the name of the channel, Alder and Stone. And I guess like a little bit of backstory. I'll try to keep it as like concise as possible, but backstory is I went to design school, I don't know what years ago. I went to interior design school, I got my associate's degree, and then I moved to a 4-year university and I got my bachelor's degree in interior design. And so once I graduated, well, before I graduated, I interned at like a boutique interior design studio. And so the internship went great. I met my best friend at the internship. And so after I graduated college, I very naturally moved into a full-time position. I worked there for probably like a year, maybe a little bit more, maybe a little bit less. I learned so much. It was just like the best first job right out of college. It just taught me so much. I wouldn't change it for the world. But after being there for like a couple years, I wanted a little bit more experience in architecture. I love drawings. I just wanted to learn more about the architectural side of things. And so I left that position and I moved to an architecture firm. I worked at the architecture firm for about a year as well. And for me, it was kind of boring. I learned a lot about how commercial interiors go, but I do residential, and I kind of like doing residential. So in that year, I learned a lot about drafting. I learned a lot about how architects think. Anything architectural side, I learned a lot. After I'd been there for just under a year, it was during COVID too. I just kind of felt like I wanted to get experience in the construction side of things. And so I applied and I got a position with a construction company, and I worked at that company for about a year, and I learned a lot about construction and like what happens in the construction process. Like first is foundation, and then from foundation is framing, and then from framing, like I just learned like what trades come in at what times, which I thought was really helpful. And like at the end of the year point for when I was at the construction company, I just wanted more. I'm definitely the type of person is like that has a lot of dreams, aspirations. I always want to be moving up in my career. I always want to be challenged. So at all three positions, when I was at the design firm, when I was at the architecture firm, and then when I was at the construction company, I wanted more. And what more looked like for me was more responsibility. I wanted more autonomy over projects. I wanted to run my own projects. I wanted to be able to design with a little bit more freedom, and I wanted to be more client facing. I wanted just to be able to design. At all of those jobs, I was more like a junior designer. So a junior designer, typically like you're doing the drawings, you're doing the CAD work, you're doing the Revit work. You're not really like client facing. You're not running your own meetings, nothing like that. So at the design firm, that's what I was working towards. I was working towards being able to take on my own clients and run my own jobs. And the principal at the time was all for it. And that's what I was working towards. And it very quickly like just became apparent that was never going to happen. Just for how she had her firm set up, she was the like principal designer, and then she had support designers that did drawings. So it really just didn't go with her business model to have a lead designer at the time. And so I had been working towards it. So of course I felt very let down once I figured out that was never going to happen. There was like another designer that worked there, and she was phenomenal. Like literally, I looked up to her, and I still do. Phenomenal designer. And I just felt like a lot of opportunities that I wanted for myself were being given to her, and like they were only for her. They were never for me. I was never going to be given the same opportunities as that other designer. And she had the experience. She had been with the firm for a million years, but it was never going to happen for me. So I just felt so let down and crushed. I was so crushed because I loved the company. I loved the principal. I loved the like senior designer. I loved my life there. I really did. But I knew that I wanted more. I could not be a junior designer forever. I just wanted more autonomy. I wanted just more for my career. And so leaving that job was like devastating because it was my first job out of college. I thought I was going to be there forever. I could have been there forever. Just phenomenal company. The principal is brilliant, one of the best designers that I know. The senior designer, brilliant, honestly. But I was always going to be junior. I was always going to be just like, that's it. And so when I left that company, I went to the architecture firm. I was the only interior designer at the architecture firm. And so in my mind, I'm like, okay, I'm the only designer, so there's no favoritism, nothing like that. Unfortunately, that was during COVID, and so just the climate of business and projects changed, and I found myself not doing a whole lot of interior design. I found myself doing, again, a lot of drawings, a lot of drafting, a lot of CAD work, which is my happy place, but I still, again, wanted more. I'm an interior designer, so I want to do interior design things. So, left that company. I didn't really love working there. It was just very stagnant. Older architects. I'm young. It was not my favorite thing in the world. So I went to work for a construction company after that, and I met like one of my favorite people there. So, well, a couple of my favorite people actually, but I was there for a year. Again, you start at the bottom. When you're coming into these companies, for me, started at the bottom. And so very quickly I worked my way up in pay and in position. And there was like a lot of talks of me getting some of those things that I desired. So getting more autonomy, running my own jobs, and at my performance reviews, we would talk about me being able to run my own jobs one day, me being able to be like client, take on meetings by myself. So to me, I felt like I was on cloud nine. I felt like finally someone sees me, like finally someone sees my potential, finally someone thinks that I can do it, like trusts me. And after about a year of working towards that goal, like we set that goal that I would be able to take on my own projects and be more client facing and things like that. After a year, they decided that they wanted to like change direction and that I would still be a junior. So again, I'm devastated. I was crushed. I was absolutely crushed because it was a year of me working towards my goals as a designer, and again, slept on. You know, people were just sleeping on me left and right. And it started to make me feel like I'm always gonna be last picked for the sport game. You know, like I'm always gonna be the very last chosen option. There will always be a designer above me who has more seniority, who's getting all the opportunities and getting all of the accolades and all of the kudos and things like that. And I'm always just going to be doing the grunt work, the entry-level grunt work. And that was really hard, and it started to make me think like that's all I'll ever be. I'll only ever be a number 2 to a number 1 designer. At these companies, there was a lot of favoritism at both companies, the construction company and the design firm. Favoritism, and it's not unwarranted. These designers put in their time, they put in their, you know, years that they've been there. So, and I'm friends with both of those designers still to this day. But for me, I just felt like, why can't I get the same opportunities as they're getting? Why can't I be lead on the project, you know? And I had the experience, I had the degrees, I have the people skills, I have drafting, like I can run a project from start to finish. I literally was running projects, but not client facing, just doing all of the sourcing, doing all of the Revit work, all the CAD work, like doing it all, and then passing it to another designer to present to the client. You know, I'm still picking out the stuff. It's just I don't get to like, I just watch someone present my ideas, you know. And that's not super uncommon for interior design firms, and that's how like a lot of structure is. But at that point, at the construction company, I had like 3 years of experience, like 2 to 3 years of experience. So it just didn't work. Like felt like, okay, I'm going nowhere in my career. I want more for myself. I want more for my career. So it just, quite literally, I also didn't want to leave that place either. I loved working at the construction company. The owners were phenomenal people. Everybody on the team felt like a family. Like, it sounds so cliche, but everyone felt like a family. There was no ego. It just worked. It was like a really, really great place to be. But again, like, I'm always last. I'm always like, you know, and I put in my time and I would work so hard, and like, it just never went anywhere. It was never going to go anywhere. And so I was done. At that point, I was done. I was like, I'm done hoping that someone sees opportunity in me and someone sees something in me and they want to give me opportunities that they're giving their other designers. I'm never going to let myself down. I was like, I've been running jobs, essentially. I'm never going to let myself down. I know what I'm doing. I know how to meet with clients. There's basically, like, at that point, after 3 years of doing this, I knew how to run a project start to finish from the design side. So I was like, you know what? I'm just going to start my firm. Like, I can't keep hoping and praying that my bosses, whoever my boss is at the time, gives me the same opportunities that they're giving the next designer. I can't keep working towards my goals and then having them pulled out from underneath me at the last second. So then I started, formerly Studio 8 was my old business, and then we rebranded, and so now it's Alder & Stone. So then Alder & Stone was born, just out of a need to be more. More for my life, more for my skill set, more for my creativity. I needed more. So that's why I started Alder & Stone. I've had Alder & Stone now for 3 years, and I've worked with the most amazing clients. There's a lot of highs and lows, and I'm sure I'll get into the highs and lows in this channel, like on this YouTube channel. But it's been the best decision I've ever made in my life. And of course, like, it's scary. It's scary to leave a full-time income to entrepreneurship. That is, like, so scary. In the first year, I didn't get, like, a proper client till, like, 6 or 8 months after I started my firm. Right when I started my firm, I had, like, a project where I just charged $500. And then I had another project, one of my best friends, who's a real estate agent, she threw me a bone, and I designed her kitchen for her for like $500. And so my first 2 clients were from like friends and family, $500 each. And then I did not have a paying client for like 6 to 8 months. So for 6 to 8 months, I was terrified, and I was living off of my savings. And my savings were just like dwindling and dwindling and dwindling down. And it was just the scariest thing ever. But I stuck with it. And in that 8 months, I had to go get a part-time job, which is a whole nother thing, which I recommend if you want to start. This is not business advice channel, but if you want to start an interior design business, get a part-time job. So I got a part-time job at a countertop fabrication place. And so I was able to still have like a little bit of income coming in at that time, and then also still put my hours towards my design business. And I did that for 2 years. Did both for 2 years. So now fast forward, I've been full-time in Alder & Stone for like a year now, and it's just been amazing. I have so much passion behind interior design and behind construction and just anything design based. So I'm so glad that I took the leap. I was quite literally pushed into the leap. If any one of those companies would have like been in alignment with my goals for my career, I would have still been working at one of them. But I was quite literally forced into entrepreneurship, and it was the best thing ever. So that was almost 18 minutes worth of story, but I just want to like have this YouTube channel to talk about design, talk about how I do my design process, what do my days look like, how do I balance all the things in my life with my business, and also talk about how I'm building my house, and all of that. So there's going to be a couple of topics on this channel, but this has been kind of like a long idea in the making, so I'm glad that I'm finally doing it. But hope everyone sticks around. I hope I actually stick with it and keep filming. So we'll see what happens. Oh, and also, this is supposed to be designer in a day. Like, what do I do in a day? So I'm also going to show you what I do in a day. So I'm about to work on, I need to order some rug samples. I need to work on a furniture project, like sourcing furniture. I need to work on my own house drawings and send them off for bid. So I got a lot to do. So, end of the workday. It's 3:46, and it's just, I did a lot today, but I feel like it just does not come across. Like, I don't know, I'm finding it hard to balance how much I'm sharing versus how much I'm showing, or how much I'm pulling back, because these are real clients with real houses and real lives, and I don't want to share too much about the client, so I'm like finding it hard to balance the two. So I don't know. I don't know how much actually made it into this video. I have not a single clue how much made it into this video, but my day's not totally done. I need to go to the bank, and then I need to go to Best Buy. So those are more personal things, but hopefully some of my work made it in the video. I have no clue.